Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Max Frequency Podcast. I am your host, Max Roberts, and I have the honor and privilege of being joined this time by YouTuber, essayist, Nintendo fan, Kohana. Hello. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good.
We met and we're friends in Brian Hankins' little video essayist Discord. That's where we met through Brian. And you and I have been talking recently because we both reviewed Mina the Hollower. And I was like, well, we should do a show about that. And then I finished Mina the Hollower. I was like, we should talk about other things too.
Yeah.
So it's great to have you here on the show. I'm excited. And I thought that we could start with the Nintendo Direct that just happened a week ago, I guess, as we were recording their annual E3 shebang.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we dig into actually you and your work, and then end with Mina, is what I kind of thought. So, the Direct, Kohana, what'd you think? Overall vibe from the Direct.
So, I'm coming at this from the perspective of Nintendo games that I want to see, and then also how good I think the third-party announcements are, not necessarily how likely I am to buy them, I guess. But from that perspective, I thought this show was awesome. I really liked it, and I was very surprised to see the perception online be decidedly negative, I really liked all of the Nintendo announcements. Well, most of them. The Xenoblade stuff was the absolute highlight for me. I don't know if I've said this really anywhere, but I'm a huge Xenoblade fan. And so that blowout of the Switch 2 editions and then the Genesis announcement to cap it off was pure euphoria. I don't know that I've popped off that hard at an announcement in quite a while. We did get an update on Duskbloods, but that was pretty lackluster. We got the network test coming, so I guess that's something.
That was so strange, right? It was
yeah,
they keep doubling down that it's this year. Every time it comes up, and then there's gonna be a network test. Cool. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Yeah, not being able to see more of the game was really disappointing, but I was just happy that they confirmed that it is in fact coming in 2026, because I was a little worried that it might get delayed. But yeah, those are probably my two biggest games I was excited for there. Kingdom Hearts 4 was awesome to see there. I was not expecting that at all.
I don't think anyone was.
Yeah, the game looked really cool. And then we got the ports on top of that. And then we got the Ocarina of Time remake at the end. And I don't really know how I feel about it yet. I think I need to see more.
Yes, I agree. We need to see more. What's interesting about Ocarina is obviously the leak from Nate the Hate a couple of months ago, which when Star Fox was announced in, I guess, May, I think is when it happened, all but confirmed that the Ocarina part of that was also true. And I guess the other things that he leaked as well at the time, which included, I think, that 3D Mario was for 27, which is interesting given Nintendo didn't show that in any capacity. And I forget the other thing that he mentioned was next year. I'd have to look it up. But basically, I believe everything that he said. And given that the game leaked in that way, the community, anyone tapped in, knew about it. And I think that set the expectation of, oh, we're going to see the game. We're going to see the Hyrule Field, the Deku Tree. We're gonna see all these things, and we got a tapestry and Link sleeping. And so, what should have been a huge pop off, celebratory moment, had totally the wind sucked out of its sails because of the leak and then the expectations that all of our minds kind of cooked up. But the game is slated for this year, and personally, my theory is that Nintendo's going to have the chops to put it out in November.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, business-wise, yes, they do care. They're aware of GTA. I don't think that I think Nintendo has like the gusto to say you will buy us too. Like I know you'll buy GTA, but you'll also buy Ocarina of Time, and then also they also are targeting kids who aren't getting GTA. So there's that whole other market that's just not gonna be tapped into by GTA. So I think it's November for the holiday sales. And if you think so, November, and it's June now, so July, August, September, October, November, that's 5 months. So probably in the September Direct here, in 3 months, is when we'll kind of get the full reveal, right after the price increase of the console. Is when they'll tell us Ocarina of Time's an $80 game.
I didn't think about that. That seems very likely because that would be a game that would probably prompt a lot of people to buy a Switch too.
I suspect the September Direct will be quite packed with games kind of. Nintendo Directs the past few years have been very looking ahead at the next 6 to 8 months with maybe 1 or 2 titles that are outside of that window. Like this Direct, that would be Xenoblade Genesis, right? That just has a 27 date.
Yep.
But we don't see a 3D Mario here. We don't see a Metroid or Animal Crossing, for Pete's sake. They really have kept everything within a 6 to 8 month window, which is, we got Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza in that way. Metroid Prime 4 also kind of in that way, like the way the lead up to that game's final release there. So the September one, though, given the price increase and how they're going to want to keep moving units, I think that one we could see, like, here's the 3D Mario.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would bank, like, all my money on that happening, that Direct, for sure.
It just, you want to put something there that's going to, because I think the price bump's only $50, and that's still a lot of money. That makes the Switch to $450, or is it $450 and $5? No, the bundle's already $500. I forget how much a Switch 2 costs.
So it's $450 for the base model
right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so it'll bump it up to $5 and $550 then, I think, is what the goodness gracious. And you know what? They'll probably also at that Direct drop a Zelda-themed Switch 2. That will be $550 or $580. That'll maybe like have a hint of gold under the Joy-Con too. Thumbstick.
Yeah, they got me with the OLED, the Tears of the Kingdom one on the Switch 1.
That was
I think they might get me again. I
already had the Splatoon 3 OLED, and then I bought the Tears of the Kingdom OLED. I have a problem, but yeah, we'll see what happens. But I kind of suspect that this September Direct will pop. But this June Direct, it had nothing for me personally. There was a lot of swords and RPGs. Like I've never played a Xenoblade. They don't strike me at all. Like nothing about them looks my speed. I do have X for Wii U, but I bought that when I was kind of just filling out a Wii U collection and it hadn't been ported to Switch yet.
Yeah.
So there's nothing like I don't need Minecraft, Fire Emblem. It seems too much Persona-y now. I don't know. It's too much anime, I think. There's Dragon Quest Monsters, a new one. Splatoon Raiders, I still don't really understand that game. It needs. I think they said it's getting its own Direct.
Yeah, I was like kind of interested in it when it was announced, just as like a single player campaign, because I have never been able to get into the multiplayer of those games. But like, I don't know, it seems kind of too like grindy, I guess. Like the whole gameplay loop is pretty much just like grinding, from what I understand. So like, I don't know if it'll really be my thing.
Yeah, I'm just because the single player campaigns of particularly 2 and 3 are phenomenal. They're actually like the secret Galaxy games, like Lost Galaxy sequels. They're so good. And so a single player Splatoon game sounds very interesting, but I'm not sure I want to like grind for materials and build bases. I had the misfortune of doing the IGN guide for Metal Gear Survive,
Oh,
Yeah, it happens. You can't get all bangers. So,
mm-hmm.
and that it's very similar. It's like grind for materials, build your base, kind of stop waves. So I'm curious. I need to know more about this game, and I don't think they've done a very good job of selling it so far. So I'm curious to see. Well, the direct hopefully will help in that regard, but this direct just wasn't very this very selfish, very max focused at all. The only thing really that kind of like grabbed my attention was Ocarina of Time, and even Kingdom Hearts 4, which I love the Kingdom Hearts games. I'm a huge fan of them. 3, I kind of soured a little bit at the end of 3. I'm not feeling anything for 4, and having the new reveal be Switch 2 footage didn't really sell me on it visually. So I'm like torn there as well. It just kind of felt like a stinker direct. If you're not into RPGs or games with swords and dragons and knights and things, or anime, this direct just wasn't for you. And I think because they're focusing on the next 6 to 8 months in these direct, it kind of hurts the longevity and the promise of the console in a way. I don't want a Prime 4 situation where we wait 7-8 years. But I think a little tease like an Animal Crossing is in the works, and here's, Punch Out or Kid Icarus. Gosh, here's a new Kirby game for any, just something.
Yeah, I do agree, actually. I think, like, at the beginning of the Switch generation, I feel like a lot of the hype was for games like Metroid and Yoshi and stuff that were, like, upcoming for a really long time. Switch 2 hasn't really had that yet. It's been, like, they've been very disciplined with when they choose to reveal stuff, which is, like, good, I guess, if you're following every, like, move that Nintendo makes. But, like, it'd be nice to have, like, some game to just, like, be like, man, that's coming out someday, And, like, just get people talking.
It's a tough balance because I think back to maybe the early to mid PS4 generation where they were announcing stuff years out. Last was Part 2, God of War 2018, Days Gone, just all sorts of stuff was just out and like known. It was like, okay, this is what this studio is working on. This is what this studio is working on. Like, we know. Now we have to wait. And Sony padded that with third and second party support very well. I don't want things announced too far ahead, but I also want, and having things announced close is fun. Ocarina of Time, that being out in 5 months is incredible. I remember, I think it was Fallout 4 kind of got that treatment as well, where it was like Todd came out and was like, and it's out later this year. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Those are cool, but we do need some things further out. And Nintendo, like we said, like Xenoblade Genesis, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave was that game. They announced that last year, I believe. And so like that, people have been waiting for that game. And so that's exciting. I think we just need a little bit more and a little bit more diversity, like in that sense. I know Tears of the Kingdom was a long lead, and Zelda usually does get announced far in advance. But I think we just need a little bit more. So far, the Switch 2's kind of following the 3DS cycle, and I don't just mean that because we have Star Fox 64 and Ocarina of Time again on the console, but the launch library had certain big titles and then third-party support, and then now we're getting kind of old games brought back and forward, and so I'm curious what's going to be new and kind of pave the way forward. But I'm confident in Nintendo's ability to deliver, and I'm certainly not short of any games to play.
Yeah, that was my main thing too. Like, I think if I only had a Switch, this Direct might have been a little more disappointing to me. Like, as much as a ton of the third-party games that were announced, I think are really great, like Metaphor, DMC5, Onimusha's coming to Switch, like all that stuff. It's all awesome. But if I was like only really here for the Nintendo announcements and I didn't have like a ton of other stuff I could be playing, yeah, I think like even though a lot of this stuff is to my taste, I would probably be a little let down. And I'm not going to argue at all that like even though this Direct was basically made for me, I definitely could have appreciated some more diversity. I would have loved to see like a little taste of a new Metroid or something, or like even a 3D Mario teaser or what have you, you know?
Yeah, it just heck, I would have taken even just different Nintendo Switch 2 enhanced editions. Give me an enhanced edition for Thousand Year Door. Just give me 4K 60 on that game, and I'll be super duper happy. Like that would have popped for that. A Paper Mario
Yeah,
tease
that
would
would
have
be
been
awesome.
great. So it's an interesting lull. I am expecting a lot in the September Direct. Not so much like personally, I just think business wise, it's going to make sense because they're going to have this kind of hit with the price increase. So I feel like they're going to amp up the promise of the console a little bit there, which will be exciting to see. I mean, it did just turn 1, and I do love it. I just started playing Echoes of Wisdom actually for the
Oh
first
yeah?
time because so it came out so late, right? And I was like, well, I will wait and see about the back compat situation. And the back compat solved the stuttery frame rate, so it's a nice locked, 60 FPS, upscaled to 4K, so it just looks super clean and crisp. I'm having a very good time with that. So see, the backlog serves me well.
Yeah, Echoes of Wisdom. I need to revisit that game. I played it like at launch and I was like, yeah, this is cool. And then like didn't really think about it again after I beat it.
Well, I was thinking about it. Well, I was playing it because it was on my list to play this year, but also this past week, as I was kind of preparing the show notes, I was watching your Link's Awakening retrospective, which uses primarily footage from the Switch remaster of the game. I
Hmm.
guess remake, completely different visual assets
Yeah, that's
and
what they call it.
style. Yeah, I would call it a remake. I was watching that, and it got me thinking about Echoes of Wisdom. I was kind of surprised I didn't see a video from you on it because you've got other games that have kind of sequel things as well. So this will now be the part where we talk about your channel, Kohana. Very Nintendo focused, which is great. I love it. It's not a ton of videos, which I'm slightly surprised about simply just the subscriber count and the reach of some of your videos. I mean, you've got some very popular big videos that I remember seeing thumbnails for and all that sort of stuff before we met, especially your Mario Kart retrospective, which is, I believe, your most popular video at 410,000 views. Yeah, 410,000 views. I've definitely seen your work before I met you virtually. And so I'm surprised to only see, what is that? 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. I mean, 30 or fewer videos. This is very impressive little catalog, and it's very tight. Like, it's very digestible. Like, if someone was new to your channel, they could come in and kind of get the full experience and really be caught up in a good way. So I guess first is props to you, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate all that. It's kind of like a reframe my perspective on a lot of how I do stuff just in that little paragraph.
Well, I try. It is funny though. I'll share this little anecdote before I get into my first real question. So I'm watching your first video listed on the channel is a review of Stray, the cat game, which is a game that was on my annual list last year, and I started it and I just did not like it. I was just not feeling it at the time, and then I watched your video and it reminded me, and I was like, you know what? I really am not going to play that game, and so I traded it in the other day. Your video on Stray is very good. My taste of Stray was not. But I think that kind of actually leads really well into my kind of first question for you, which is what to you is the difference between a retrospective and a review? You've got some videos in here listed as a review. Your Stray review. You've kind of got like I would consider your Balatro one a review, although review like a brief review for Mario Kart World. You've got Metroid Prime 4 is underwhelming. I haven't played Donkey Kong Bonanza yet, so I haven't seen your video on that yet. I'm trying to keep all the spoilers as minimal for me as that as possible, but I imagine that's semi-review-ish. Your Hollow
Yeah.
Knight. But then you've got retrospective. You've got Prime 1, 2, 3. You've got all of the 3D Mario games. You've got Donkey Kong Country. So, like, to you, what's that difference between retrospective and review?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is like kind of vibes. So in my head, I think of like a review as like typical like game outlet, just like examining a game from like a general view, and then like assessing whether or not it's like worth the money and like the overall quality of it as like summarized by a number or whatever. And then
Mm.
retrospective, I think, is more of like kind of an artsier, longer form, more in depth take on that, where you're not really focused on like the value judgment of it as like a piece of um a thing you purchase, but rather like an artistic experience. And
Hmm.
so I think that's kind of like the line for me generally, but it definitely blurs. Like I would consider my Hollow Knight video, even though it like doesn't have retrospective in the title, that'd be more of like a retrospective. Donkey Kong Bonanza would probably be more like a review. Um, let's see. I actually have playlists on my channel that like list out what I consider to be a retrospective and what I consider to be a review, like in the moment.
Oh, interesting.
I think,
I didn't even see
yeah, a
that.
lot of it also has to do with like how current the game is. So, like, if you notice, a
Mm.
lot of my reviews are like games that came out in the last like year or two. So, yeah, I think that's probably like the main thing is like when I'm thinking about making a review, it's like I want to get my thoughts quickly out there on like a game that's current that just like I felt compelled to write about. A retrospective would be more like I have a lot I want to say about this older game and like how it is like informed my perspective on something, or I just have takes I want to share or whatever. Um, so that's kind of the line for me, I think.
That's See, I always think of a review more like the old IGN reviews. I don't know if you've read like older IGN reviews, but they were pages long, super detailed, like went into the nitty gritty of the game. And then obviously gave like a score. Like their old Grand Theft Auto reviews, for example, are pages long that just like really soak up the game. And um, I never think of a review, I guess, as whether or not it's going to determine if I buy something. Like I don't when I write a review, I'm not thinking about the cost of it, to me or to the reader. I th- to me a review is like, well, I if I'm reading or watching a review from someone, either someone has told me that like this piece is good, like this the Mario Tennis video, or not video, the review I read the other month when that game came out, that like that was a beautiful piece. Now I have to find it so I can mention it. But so there's that one. It's the best Mario sports game ever made by Jake Steinberg. Uh, it's a superb review. There will be a link in the show notes for everyone to go read that. So good. And yeah, so I'm not thinking about the price of it ever, but it's interesting that you would like your Mina review. Obviously, that one's a little bit different because that was under an embargo, was early access code. Like you want to get it out close, and so that the price is a factor there. I think because you're trying to. They want the review out soon so that it can help convince people to buy the game. Is kind of the idea there, and the
Right.
dynamic and relationship. But then you go to Donkey Kong Bonanza. That was like 7 months ago. So that was like 5, 6 months after the game came out. So it's like it's not late enough to be a retrospective, but it's not. Is it influencing a purchase? I don't know. That's a good spin that I hadn't really considered before.
Yeah, I think my Mina video is probably the only one where I've really like factored that into my script where it's like you should or should not buy this. A
Yeah.
lot of times I just kind of treat my reviews as like shorter retrospectives pretty much. Like I think honestly the main thing that determines it for me is like the length of the video and like what I feel like I'm bringing to the conversation.
That's yeah. Because some of your videos, dude. I mean, barring the complete series retrospective, which is 5 hours, but that's just compilation.
Yeah.
You got some long videos in here, dude. You know,
Oh yeah.
uh, what's the what's editing one of those like? You got hours, 70 minutes. Here's 80. Oh, God, that's almost 2 hours for Mario Kart. But that's every game, you know. What are you gonna
Yeah. Yeah, so like I think the worst part for me is editing my voiceover. So like I do things in like a very like segmented process, I guess, where I do all of the writing pretty much, and then I record all of it, and then I edit all of the audio like on its own. So then I just export it into like WAV files, and then I bring those into the editing timeline, and then that's where I like actually assemble the video.
Yeah.
Editing audio is just awful. It takes so long, and it's just like really not engaging. I like constructing the actual video a little more because you can throw in some background music. That's where you like kind of dictate the pacing, pick your visuals, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So I really enjoy the process of like actually editing one of the videos, but yeah, I think like actually doing the video part of it does not take as long as you might think. If I'm like really dedicated to editing, I can knock out like 25 minutes of the final video in like one day. So that's why I kind of try to keep my my like editing really simplistic, just to, you know, save myself the headache of like meticulously combing clips for very specific moments that I want to look perfect or whatever. I just kind of like let my script do most of the talking, and the video is just the background.
Yeah, like a visual aid to go along
Yeah,
with.
exactly.
Put a clip in where it's like relevant, but keep it, not stress it out too much.
Yeah, I don't really try to do anything too fancy other than maybe some transitions.
I've been known to get too fancy. It's a curse.
Yeah.
But that's good. It's good to have that vision of what you want to deliver and not get caught up in the semantics or the tools of it. I fall victim to this a lot, where it's like I forget that you don't need the fanciest or best tools to do a thing. You just need to make the thing. And I personally will let a lot of tools or systems or whatever get in the way of the actual creation. And it sounds like you don't let, you know, oh, I gotta have this specific shot at this angle at this time, or I gotta replay this to get this specific clip, like to make it visually perfect. You like you said, you let the script, the VO, do the talking.
Yeah, I'm very much not a perfectionist in really anything I do. Like I'm more than happy to like maybe mess up like a part of the script or like a voiceover, or have an edit not come out the way I wanted to exactly, and then be like, okay, I'll just learn from that for the future. And you know, of course, I want my stuff to like be as good as I can possibly make it, but like if I make a mistake or whatever, I'm not like stressing over it. And I think it's better to just have something out there that maybe I have a couple qualms with, but is ultimately like people are going to resonate with, than just something locked up in my archives for years.
Don't look at my archives. What? So kind of on that thread, then, what's maybe been one of the biggest lessons you've learned in making these retrospectives, which feels like a lot of our friends in this Discord have done the retrospective, right? Like, great work, all of them. I love them all. What have you learned in making these retrospectives from Prime? You've primarily done Metroid Prime, the 3D Marios, and you have a Donkey Kong Country. Is that the whole series? Yes, you did the whole series. The thumbnail would tell me that.
Yes, I did. That's the whole series.
Whew, man, that's a lot of Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah.
What do you feel like you've learned in making these retrospectives?
Ooh,
or the biggest
tough.
lesson? The biggest lesson, I guess.
Yeah, the biggest lesson. I think it's kind of what I said, like just not getting too caught up in the minutia of it all, and just like feeling confident enough in myself to put something out there, rather than like obsessing over the details, and you know, just like learn from the experience of doing it, and just, you know, putting it out there for people to see. I've learned a lot about myself, like writing these two, especially in the last like 2 years, where I try to get a little more like introspective with them, as opposed to just like spouting out takes on games.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like done a lot for my self-esteem, my confidence, my creativity. So yeah, I really cherish that I have the ability to do this and like have people actually watch.
Yeah, it's really great. I think the personal angle is always what draws me into my favorite creators and their videos is I want to know what ties them to it. You know, I can go learn about Link's Awakening anywhere. I can go read. I have the a Nintendo Power issue that talked all about Link's Awakening. I can go read that. You know, like I don't have to go far to find that. What I want to know is the story with the person behind it, and that's something that I always try to do when I'm making writing anything. Is bring that personal angle is always something that I really hold on to. Um, I want to know for you. Some of these retrospectives are individuals. Like you have Prime 1, 2, 3, Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine. But then you've got Mario Kart retrospective, whole series, Donkey Kong, the whole series. And then later you did the complete retrospective series for 3D Mario where you just kind of stitched all of your videos together, including new original content for 3D Land. Thank you for not forgetting a very good game.
Yeah.
So I'm curious going forward as you maybe tackle other games that are in series. What do you, I guess, what do you want to do more of? Do you want to do more full series retrospectives? Because I would suspect those take longer just naturally because you're playing way more games, right? Like, or do you want to focus more on single titles, like, and dig deep into individuals?
So the Donkey Kong video has been like one of my favorites I've done probably.
Mm-hmm.
And I think going forward, I would like to do more like series stuff like that. But a lot of the games I want to cover in the near future, that's just like not feasible. um, it's like yeah, kind of the pattern there was like Mario Kart. It's like short enough games that are fairly easy to cover that I didn't feel like I had a whole lot to say to warrant like individual videos for each one, and I kind of wanted to like build off of each one as I moved into the later series or into the later entries.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the theme there. Same with Donkey Kong. Like I probably could have justified whole videos on the first game and like Tropical Freeze, but I didn't really have a lot to say about the games like in between.
You didn't have an hour plus on Kitty Con?
I did not, unfortunately. You have to get that elsewhere. But yeah, I thought it just made more sense to like build off of what I had already talked about with DKC1 for like 2, 3 returns and Tropical Freeze. So like, just package them all in one video, and they're short enough games on their own to where it wouldn't be like too bad. Funnily enough, that was actually like one of the smoothest processes I've ever had like making a video was the Donkey Kong one.
Why do you think that
I
is?
whipped that together in like a month. Well, I think that one I focused more on just kind of talking about the games. I didn't have like a super in-depth like thesis or anything. I really just wanted to like cover the games and talk about their atmospheres and like the progression of them.
Sure.
And so it was a pretty straightforward script to write, and then the games themselves are also pretty short. And I was also just like really in the mood to play them all back to back, so that made it easier.
Okay. That actually, how do you play and how do you record your gameplay? This is something I'm always curious about. I'm a big old fat pixel snob, so I'm always like 4K all the thing, I have a problem. But I'm always curious what people do. I've had people on here who do emulation on their, on computers. I have people capturing off real hardware. Where are you? What do you like to play off of? And how do you record it?
So a lot of times kind of just depends on my mood. Like for the Mario Kart video, I used original hardware for a lot of stuff, for better or worse, some of that footage. I emulated, I think, Mario Kart DS on there.
Yeah.
And 7. So I've definitely like, what else? I'm looking at my channel here. I emulated A Link to the Past. I emulated Metroid Prime, the entire trilogy. I was actually using like Prime Hack, which adds a bunch of control features.
When we did on Chapter Select, we did all the Metroid Prime games for a season, and my buddy played with the Prime Hack on his Steam Deck. So yes, I'm very familiar with the Prime Hack.
Yeah. I think if I was remaking those videos, I probably wouldn't do that.
Mm.
um, Another kind of funny thing, I guess, is I used the 3D All-Star Collection for Super Mario 64 and Sunshine, but then I went back to the Wii for Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. So it really depends, I guess.
Well, you would have had to at the time go back to the Wii for 2 at
Yeah,
least.
that's for sure. So I think that was part of my decision was I wanted the videos to look similar.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of times I'll just play on like modern hardware. A lot of my videos I've made have been like current generation stuff, so it's like fairly easy to capture.
Well, yes and no. I mean, like Galaxy, the Wii. Were you playing on a Wii U?
I was playing on Wii U, yeah.
Okay. So that would make sense. And then if you emulate, so what about Donkey Kong then? So that runs the gamut of Super Nintendo all the way up to Wii U or Switch, depending on I guess the versions of Tropical Freeze and Returns. Are you like do you use NSO at all, or if you're gonna emulate, you're gonna just do it on your PC?
I prefer to just do it on my computer.
Yeah.
When I was emulating stuff for footage, I was like my setup was a lot different. Now it'd be pretty easy to do NSO, but like my consoles were all out like in the living room and my PC was in another room. So now I just have everything like right next to each other. So I could do that, but yeah, for Donkey Kong I emulated everything and then I got the Switch versions of the retro games.
Oh, the Retro Studios games. I was like, you got the Switch. Okay, so and what capture card do you use? You using
I have the Elgato 4KX. That was a pretty recent upgrade. I got that like a year ago.
Okay.
But before that, I think I was using the HD 60S.
Yeah, I had that card as well. But so is it just a storage thing that you're not record or capturing in 4K, or at
Part
least
of it is
uploading
that.
in it?
Yeah, I don't really mess with anything higher than 1080p. Part of it is storage. That's probably my main motivator. But then the other thing is like I was actually talking about this with Pedro at PG Reviews.
Okay.
A lot of people that watch my content, I think it's like 80% of people or something, they are not doing it on their computers. Like I think
It's on the phone.
over 40% of my audience watches my stuff on their phone. It's like, what am I really doing uploading in 4K at that point, you know?
Yeah.
And then I also have to wonder like how much of those people that aren't watching on their phone are like actually sitting there watching the video and are like, damn, I wish this was higher quality, you know? Like I feel like a lot of times it's like people just kind of throw our stuff on in the background and
This is true.
no issues with that. So like I just kind of wonder like how worth it is to work with 4K when it's going to be such like a headache for me.
You are not wrong. You just don't suffer my affliction, which is great. I'm proud of you for not having my problem. It's so bad. Yeah, man. I've spent a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of energy to get everything to every console is hooked up into the capture card. I can switch anything on at any time. I can play it on any screen in my office, my monitor, TV, tube TV. It's taken a long time. You got it good. Stay where you are. Don't follow me down this dark path.
Yeah, it's very much like the non-perfectionist in me.
There it is. It benefits. I want to talk to you about 2 thumbnails because these thumbnails happened since we've known each other in the Discord. So I was kind of watching them happen in real time.
I know where this is going.
Oh, yeah, you do. Your
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Bonanza video has a thumbnail that says, "It's bad." It's a very good thumbnail. Very much like perfectly designed for what YouTube would like. And it pairs super well with the title, which is "I Didn't Like Donkey Kong Bonanza." And the crying Donkey Kong silhouette, it's beautiful. And then your Metroid Prime video, like thematically, is the inverse, where it's like Metroid Prime 4 is underwhelming, but then your thumbnail is it's good in green. And you've shown examples of other channels kind of following this style. And I don't know necessarily if you were first or if you were inspired by someone else. But this "It's Bad" thumbnail style I have seen around since your video, kind of like when you buy a car and then you see that car everywhere.
Yep.
I want how A, I guess, does it feel, and B, like where did it come from, and now do you feel like you're maybe in a trap, or you like put yourself in a thing where it's like, well, gosh, how do I need to see if I can do this type of thumbnail for videos going forward, or what's the story here?
Yeah, so I guess to start with the Donkey Kong one, that one I'm not going to take credit for this format at all, just because I had already seen it
Sure,
floating
yeah.
around YouTube at the time. I think I first saw it in the Skitty Bitty Tears of the Kingdom video, where it's just like it's bad, period. So then that inspired like a bunch of other people to start using that format. And there was one video that went viral. It was like a Mario Kart review, and it was pretty much exactly the same composition as like my Donkey Kong one, where it's like blue sky background, Mario sitting in his cart looking out at the sky in front of him with like the "It's bad" text in front of him. And so people were like dunking on that thumbnail, and I disagreed with a lot of the points in the video, so I thought it'd be kind of funny to like riff on it.
Oh, I
And
see it.
so
Yes. Okay.
yeah,
Stop Defending Mario Kart World by Xander J.
yes, that's the one. So he actually has a couple videos with that exact thumbnail pretty
Oh
much.
my gosh, he
But
has 2.2 million views on that thing.
yeah, so like you can see why people would like get frustrated at that.
Stop Defending
Um
Nintendo. It's bad.
yeah. Yeah.
Uninstall Pokemon Legends ZA. I'm not kidding. Okay. Yep. All right. I see the format.
Yeah. So I thought it'd be funny to riff on that, and I found an area in Donkey Kong Bonanza that would like pretty much perfectly match that with the yellow grass, the blue sky, and then I
Mhm.
made Donkey Kong kind of like stand out against the rest of it. And I sent the idea to Hot Cider, who I work with for my
Mm.
thumbnails primarily, and I was like, let's make this as over the top as possible. So then that's where the idea for like the crying Pauline and crying Donkey Kong silhouettes in the sky came from, and then like the glowing massive red text. I wanted to make it as like obnoxious as possible, and I think we did a great job.
So
um
I've written somewhere before. Once you make a video and your thumbnail is a hot cider thumbnail, you've made it as a video essayist. So good for you.
oh yeah, thank you. So yeah, that video kind of predictably took off, and then I didn't like really use that to inform later thumbnails I wanted to make. Like the Metroid Prime one, I genuinely thought like, okay, there's like a narrative thread here for what I'm gonna say for this game for the Donkey Kong one. So I thought it would be like fitting to use kind of a similar thumbnail. Um, but that one like honestly underperformed my expectations by a lot. So I wouldn't say like that video is kind of motivating any of my like future thumbnail
Yep.
decisions.
Okay. It's always fun to kind of when I had Cinema Sticks on, he does movie essays, so his style is very different. Movie essayist titles and thumbnails are wildly different than video game ones. It's very interesting to see the difference between them. Their titles are super long, and the images are usually just stills from the movies. So it's I always like picking people's brains about their approach to packaging on YouTube. I think even Rasputin has talked about it in a couple of his videos on his second channels, like the idea of packaging. I actually think he did a video specifically on like the cyberpunk in his style. I'll try to find it.
Yeah, that was a great video.
Yeah, I love whenever Raz talks behind the scenes. Going forward, like looking at some of your posts on your YouTube channel, you've got a Persona 3 video in the works, and then you have like polls and other questions about, well, what should I talk about? You've got Bloodborne, you've got Dark Souls. Kind of just scrolling through the post here, you see that kind of stuff, and it's like, Hollow Knight's kind of Nintendo adjacent. But my point is it looks like just creatively you're branching out from kind of this Nintendo focus to other games that you play and love. Clearly, are you hesitant about that because maybe people see you as like the Nintendo guy? I don't see you that way, but I'm just kind of curious. Like, are you nervous about that, or you're like, no, this is just I'm gonna keep making what I want to make, and if they come, they come, type of thing. Like, what's your thought as you go forward outside of Nintendo world.
Yeah. I'm kind of two minds on that. I feel like I definitely am nervous about branching out because like a lot of what I want to talk about has just like no relation to anything I've covered really. But at the same time, like when I first started, I got a lot of attention originally with my Metroid Prime 2 video and then 3, and then I was like kind of known as the Metroid Prime guy. But then I put out the Mario Kart video and that took off. That was like my best performing video ever at the time and it still is. And so I guess I kind of got known as the Mario Kart guy. And then I started putting out the Mario 3D videos. And I was like, okay, well, I'm known as like the Mario 3D and then like Mario Kart and Metroid guy. So like, I feel like I've been able to transcend like labels like that for now. So I feel like there's no reason to think that like I couldn't successfully branch out elsewhere. But, you know, a lot of what I've talked about at the same time, like Mario Kart, 3D Mario, Metroid, they're all like related under the Nintendo umbrella. Whereas like if I wanted to talk about Dark Souls, I'm kind of just going out on a limb, you know? So yeah, like it does make me a little nervous, but ultimately like I'm not making a ton of money off my channel. Like it's not the end of the world if a video underperforms. I ultimately do this for me. And I enjoy the process of making stuff I like talking about. So
I love it. I see this kind of happen sometimes where people like make certain content and then they're like, but now I want to do this. And then they feel kind of trapped. I've worked with a guy, he does videos of a very certain subject and thing, but then he also wants to do these other book reviews. And he's done some book reviews on his channel, but they never perform well because it's not what he's known for. And so like he's branched out and done a completely separate channel. And even I've done that as well. A couple of years ago when I was actually making video essays and being productive in that world, I made a second channel just for the essays outside of my main one, and you know, whatever, who knows. But it's interesting to think of, well, is this what, like, are people still going to watch these if it's not what the people know me for, or what my channel is known for? And I think like my main channel, the channel I've had for 13 or whatever years, however long it's been, goodness gracious, that's just where I get to put anything and everything. And I think there's something freeing about that as a creator and someone who makes videos on this here YouTube. It's just like, this is where you find me and my thoughts about whatever you see in the carousel, so to speak. So I think that's a good approach to have.
yeah, I'm sure like if I was doing this full time, I would like have a lot more anxiety around it. But I mean, the stakes are very low, so I might as well just use the opportunity to cover whatever, and then maybe I get an audience that's interested in that. And if not, no big deal.
Good. I like it. You should do more tier lists, by the way, just saying. More brackets.
I really want to do that. I have a couple ideas.
You also need a wider age range because straight up crimes were committed on your what is Nintendo's best game conversation. Absolute, utter crimes by you baby children.
What was your biggest
I'd have to go back and look like at some of the crimes. I remember being very passionate when it happened because that was 7 months ago when I watched that. So I don't actually remember what I'm upset about, but I remember I'm upset about it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was happy with that video.
But see, that's what you want when you make a bracket or a tier list. You don't want anyone happy because if people walk away happy, you did it wrong, kind of thing. So
I agree. Yeah.
The video is very well executed, but also so wrong, you guys. So poor young people. But speaking of branching out, you did something that I don't think you've ever done before, at least based off the videos here, which is you got a game code early and did a review at Embargo, which is always a special thing. Am I correct in saying this your first time doing that?
It is, yeah. I don't really do any sponsorships or anything. I've never like got sent a code for a game in early access. So I just reached out to Yacht Club. I was like, hey, I really want to cover this game. I want to play it. Let's see if you can hook me up. And they were very nice in doing so.
They have been very kind my entire time talking and like covering their stuff, which has been probably far too long, honestly. Yes, Yacht Club game Mina the Hollower just came out 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I don't know, maybe a month ago at this point. I don't know. I guess your video is the embargo, which is when it came up.
Yeah,
So
it's
2 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
It's their first new IP in forever. Since Shovel Knight, honestly. They did publish Cyber Shadow, but they didn't make that. So Mina the Hollower came out, and you got a review code. I had a review code. And we both walked away from the game very differently. You loved the game, and I did watch a review after I wrote mine. I'm very much a stickler, like when I'm writing about something. I don't watch other people's stuff about it until I'm done, to keep my thoughts as pure as or as original as possible. But you loved the game, walked away super positive, and I quit the game after 17 hours. I was like, I do not like this game, and so I thought we could talk about it, because this game, I am certainly in the minority on this one. I think it's got a 92 or 93 on Metacritic. It was, at least at launch, the highest reviewed game of the year so far. Probably might be so until Grand Theft Auto, I assume, later this year. Assuming that gets the reviews I anticipate it will get. Super successful. It's a great indie game from a beloved studio. I guess first, just to keep the focus on you, what was your review process like, knowing now there's a deadline that you wanted to try and adhere to? What was like your approach in doing a timely review?
Yeah, I had never really had to make a video with like a deadline before. I guess I kind of did with Hollow Knight because like I wanted to get it out before Silksong, and there was like a 2 week notice on that. But yeah, so for Mina, I was like, I'm just gonna try to keep this like as concise as possible. I wrote like a huge intro like I normally would have for a retrospective, and then I cut like half of it. And then I was like, okay, this is untenable. So I pretty much just like picked out a couple of mechanics or like ideas or feelings I had on certain aspects of the game and decided to focus on those. So like if you watch my video and then compare it to like gaming news outlets, it's probably pretty different, just because like I try to go in depth with like a lot of the combat mechanics and what I found like interesting about them, whereas I feel like a game journalism outlet might just kind of give like a broader picture of the game as a whole, like describing these mechanics without like talking about what makes them engaging, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Depends on the outlet.
Yeah. But yeah, that was kind of like my mentality, I guess. And focusing on it and like really reining in the scope, I think helped me make the deadline there.
You reined in the scope better than Yacht Club did. So yeah, I've been a fan of Yacht Club since Shovel Knight. I played that on the 3DS. Like that's where I started back, when that game launched. So I've been a ride or die Yacht Club player since then. And I think what it really kind of boiled down to was Mina felt like too much. It was too dense was the word that I kept coming back to, and irritating. Like there's just kind of death by a thousand cuts kind of thing. And it just felt too big, too much to like contain. And then after I wrote my review, because of course this idea comes to me after I write and publish the review, is Shovel Knight, like the base Shovel Knight, I guess now called Shovel of Hope, is an NES game that just never came out on the NES type of mentality. It's perfectly designed in that adherence to that style and format, but with some modern principles, like a few of them, and it's this really tight, well-run game that you would think came out back then. And Mina the Hollower, while visually does adhere to certain limitations like the color palette the sound, what have you, does not adhere to the design principles of the past and adopts much more modern ideas, like being so open, having what I call like the Souls mechanic, which, Dark Souls, Hollow Knight, what have you, where you die and you got to go back and get the thing, whatever your currency is, being completely open-ended, and then a typically really tough combat, like punishing combat, get good scrub kind of thing. I think that's probably where it was for me in the end. Is just, I don't think the modern design worked in the old package, so to speak, where if you designed it in an old way, then it all worked really well. I think that probably was what was under the surface, and I failed to articulate that before hitting publish. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but I think that's really kind of where the nugget of it lies.
Yeah, no, I think I get what you mean. For me, though, I feel like it was exactly the kind of thing I want to see more of in the industry. There's always talk about like how graphics are getting, like, we're hitting diminishing returns with new console generations, and we're like budgets for games are too big for like no good reason, mostly going to like art direction and like adding a gajillion polygons to like someone's teeth, like a character's teeth. So like, stuff like that is just really obnoxious to keep like seeing studios fall into the trap of. And I think like a really tightly designed, like well-paced, content-rich game with like really fun systems that is just like deceptively simple on its face is like exactly what I want to see more of.
Yeah, I think I do think we need more of that, where just like, but see, I don't know if Mina is deceptively simple. Like, it looks that way because it's very Game Boy Color inspired, but this game is not simple. Combat, I find the navigation quite difficult. I really struggled navigating this world. It needs a map. And I know there's like an overworld map that's like very loose. It's like the area kind of over here. I never found that.
Yeah, it's not very like useful, I guess.
It's not a useful map. It's just like we have a map. I think the game desperately needs a map. I think that would actually have alleviated a lot of early irritation for me because I could not find certain spaces. It was funny. I would actually shoot you a message and be like, "Yeah, I'm like over here, and I don't know how to get to this place." And I guarantee you, I'll just say this super quick, brief spoilers for accessing one of the levels in Mina the Hollower, so you skip ahead if you would like. I never would have figured out the mirror thing. Well, I would have figured out the mirror thing because I did catch the hint in the mountain place. But if you did not send me a picture of Super Mario 64 and a painting, I would not have even been thinking about that to get to the astral the space level. And I even, there was a Ramblematic video about it over on Second Wind. It was like, this is not how you do it, boys and girls. I was like, if you didn't give that to me, I probably would have been more frustrated.
Yeah, I kind of like, I get where that video is coming from, but I think I disagreed with a lot of it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like I definitely think that the window for like when you're supposed to be walking against the mirror to like when you actually get teleported is too long. But I think the game gives you enough hints to where you can figure out like, okay, I'm supposed to walk through the mirror to like go somewhere. But yeah, like just they should have like had it been instant that you like walk through the mirror and get teleported.
So here's yes, I agree. I think it needs to be quicker. Apparently there is a clue like when you first get to the place where you see someone walk through the mirror. But if you blink and miss it, which I certainly did, it seems like you're out of luck. I don't think that like happens again. There's another room where the lady's like, my friend went in the building and he never came out. And there's a mirror in there. I think it's in September. I wonder where he went. And there's a mirror in there. So you theoretically could try and put that. But there's also a warp. I'm called a warp pipe because it's a pipe that you warp from one end to the other. There's a warp pipe in there, so like my brain went to that. And then in the mountain, the snow level, there's you do see a lady walk through a mirror if you find this little hidden area off to the side, and you can kind of see that. So those are at least the three things that I know about. I think my other problem though with it is it's the de facto fast travel system in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're gonna have fast travel, you should introduce it straight up early. Like you should tell people this is how you do it. And I think what conflicts with that is the train, which is telegraphed early as this is how you get from place to place, and you need to put money in it. And it's also advertised as the only way to get to the mountain place, which is not true, but it's the most direct way. So
right.
I'm not looking for another fast travel method because the other one, the big train is that. So to me, it was just like, and then having it turn into a fetch quest at the end. And it's like, well, I could have been doing this the whole time. And so that really like that was definitely the straw that broke my back.
Yeah. I think like the hint that was probably the most obvious for me for the mirrors was actually in Ossex, there's like a room that has a mirror in it. And then there's like two NPCs, and they both like make really explicit comments about someone walking through the mirror. And then when you look at like where the mirror is
that's
positioned,
right. I remember this.
Yeah,
but
there's
you couldn't
like a
get to
rope
the mirror, and so
yeah.
okay.
So then I was like, okay, so this is like a late game thing, or like I'm gonna have to do this later. I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for mirrors that I can walk through. So then I found the mirror in what is it? The like first area, the dungeon.
Oh, the crypt area.
Yeah. So I found that, and then I like started interacting with it, and like was making faces and stuff in the mirror. And that was the part of the second win video that I disagreed with, where they were like, the mirror should only serve the function of like, you know, teleporting. It should not have the silly face mode at all. Because I thought it was really cool that at first I thought it was like just a silly face game, but then I realized it was like a really integral part of progression. So that was like a cool little discovery. But like I did get that hint from the NPCs, so I saw that. And so like I wasn't too bothered by like, you know, having to go back and like get all the mirrors, because I felt like I had the tools I needed to like figure it out. So I actually never thought about like the astral world as like a fast travel means though, because like I guess that makes sense, but I just kind of thought it was like the train that was like the main one. But I think the way I kind of see that is like, since the game is so open and like the only way to access that world is mirrors, like there has to be mirrors in multiple different locations to like account for people doing it in different orders. Yeah. And so you have like the mirror in the dungeon, the crypt. You have it in Septemberg, in the bayou, and then I forget what the fourth one is.
I mean, I think every level has one, because you have to go to the level, enter the mirror, and flip the switch, which will then let you progress into the actual space level, like deeper.
Yeah. You're right. They all have one.
Yeah, everything has to have one. The mines, the bayou, the crypt, and September, and the cold place.
Yeah, so like I guess it definitely does make sense as a fast travel method, but yeah, when you think about it that way, like there isn't really a way they could have avoided like not having a mirror everywhere, unless they really wanted to commit to it being the last area. But I think it's pretty cool that like you can just do it in whatever order you want.
Well, I did see there is a press Discord from Yacht Club, and someone in there at some point said that the second area they did was astral, and I'm like, how? Now, having like, you know, gone as far as I have with the game, I don't know how they even did that, because they would have had to go to every area to begin with. So I don't know. I appreciate the ability to go anywhere in any order, I suppose. I think it would have benefited from some focus, though. And there is like a designed flow. Like they're like, you should go here. I think the newspaper is actually super great. I love the newspaper. Yeah. It's fun. It's like, hey, there's stuff going on over there. But I also would like it if like the directions actually worked, where it's like, oh man, stuff's happening in the bayou out west, and you go west, and it's like, nah, it's like southwest-ish. It's whatever. Hey, whatever. I don't want to harp too much on those types of things. What I do want to harp on is the weapon selection at the beginning specifically, but the combat.
Yeah.
They do a Pokemon thing, is what I'm calling it, where you get to pick a starting weapon. You can pick the whip, the legally distinct Castlevania whip, 2 daggers, or a hammer, a King DDD hammer. Now, I chose a hammer. You chose daggers. I think you liked the daggers. I made a mistake choosing the hammer, and I think everyone that I've talked to or seen is like, yeah, we made a mistake choosing the hammer.
Yeah.
I even see people. I've seen John Linneman complained about the daggers as well. That was actually, I considered restarting the game, like losing 4 hours of progress was like where I was at. Talk to me about the daggers, because I found them eventually, and then I realized that they had like a little bit of pushback when you use them. And I was like, no. I do not want to be pushed back every time I use my weapon. I'll just stick with the, I'll dance with the devil I know kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you started with the daggers, so you lived with it. Talk to me about the daggers and why you liked them. Did you stick with them all the way through? Like, what was your mentality, I guess, choosing this starter weapon, as it were?
Yeah, so I just replayed Dark Souls 3 like 3 months ago, and I was using the Sellsword Twin Blades my entire playthrough, and they are, if you don't know, they're like 2 kind of like half sword, half knife things that like just do a ton of damage if you use them both at the same time. And so I was getting kind of Sellsword Twin Blades from like vibes for the daggers. So I was like, okay, I'm going to use these. They're probably like more of a dexterity weapon geared toward just like chipping away at health as quick as possible. And they seemed very like nimble. So I was like, yeah, I'm rocking with this. I don't really feel like the whip is as fast as I'll need it to be. And absolutely no way in hell I'm picking the hammer. I immediately did not like how stiff it felt. So like the daggers seem to be the most like agile. Yeah. So I went with those, and the knockback didn't really bother me. I didn't even realize that like was only a feature of the daggers until you just said it. So I just kind of like took it as like, okay, this is just part of the game mechanics. It's like a thing in all the 2D Zelda games, so I'll get used to it. And I used those for probably like 70% of my playtime, and then I got the battery buster, and I started messing with that, and I was like, okay, I like this weapon. So I finished the game with the battery buster. Yeah.
Okay, where I didn't even find the gun. I finally found the whip toward the end, and then I pawned it so I could buy something else. I found the daggers, and I found the shield. So I never found the gun. Where's the gun?
I don't remember where I got it. I think I got it. What's the intended area before the mountain? Is it Bone Beach or is it the mines? I think it was Bone Beach.
Those are the same. I mean, those are the same thing. Bone Beach and the mines, like, go together.
Okay. Yeah. So I got it in like that area.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
All right.
So then I didn't start using it till a little later, but once I like kind of got the hang of it and understood the mechanics, I was like, yeah, I'm using this. So it's basically just a Zelda sword, but you also get like a Mega Man gun with it that just bounces projectiles around. It was awesome.
Okay. So the game does offer you the opportunity to buy weapons before you find them out in the world. So if you find them in the world, they're free, or you can pay for them, and it's like 2,000, 3,000 bones. Early game, that's really hard to come by. Mid to late game, you'll have that much pretty quickly. It's not too hard. I think what would alleviate the regret that people seem to have when they make the wrong choice, as it were, would be to let you use them in a combat scenario.
Yeah.
Before not letting you pick one. Like, I think the game opens up with the tutorial on the boat, and you fight a boss, which you can beat or not. Either way, you'll crash and things go away. But you pick your weapon before you fight anything. So you get to feel movement, but you don't get to feel combat with it. And then when the boat crashes, you can't find the weapons again. So you're stuck with whatever you chose. And I think like the chest should have just washed up on the beach. And if you don't like the combat of the next two rooms, you can run back, get the weapon, and try a new one. I think and then after you maybe say once you get to Essex or whatever, the first town, like the chest goes away or is taken. Like that could be like a thing, like a little mission where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, the octopus took the chest. I think that would have
Yeah,
helped
no,
too.
I fully agree with that criticism people have made. Like, I think the game should let you like demo them in an actual combat situation. I think the solution you came up with is actually great.
Yeah, it just the hammer. I mean, eventually I liked it because it was all I knew, and so like I bought the upgrade that makes it actually a King DDD hammer with a big AOE after you charge it a little
Yeah,
longer. But the problem with that is once you lock in to charge it, your face stuck facing that direction, and I found myself facing the wrong direction a lot, and you can't adjust. You either have to hit the swing, which stops your movement, or you got to like try and dodge, roll your way past and down and like around them to make it effective. The hammer is a brutal thing if you're not, I guess, used to that play style, and it was a frustrating thing to say the least. But I'm not. I guess that's the one thing I guess most people agree with me on is like the early weapon stuff. The rest of it, maybe not so much. Particularly, you and I definitely disagreed on this. The soundtrack. Jake Kaufman
oh yeah,
returns to make some chiptune bops, and I kind of just left like this is fine, but a lot of people I've heard say it's a masterpiece and it's a new like an instant classic, and so I'm curious because I think you're one of those people.
I sure am.
And I'm again in the minority, which breaks my heart because I love Jake's music.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people say that like it kind of just feels like coffee shop background music, and like I can understand certain criticisms of this game, but I don't see that at all. Like so many of the area themes are just absolute earworm bops, and then there are like some of the more like lo-fi tracks that just like complement the like more in your face stuff very well, and it all just creates like such cool atmosphere. I feel like each track just like does so much for the area it's in. Septemberg, I think, is just like a constant flow of bangers. Like you have the really catchy area theme, and then you go to the village and it's a little more like lo-fi electronic, and then you go out to the main area and it like the energy ramps up, and that was like my favorite stretch of the game right there.
That was the second level I did.
Yeah.
That's where I ended up. I I liked the boss that it chased you throughout
Hmm.
the level. I did like that. That was actually a good touch. I didn't think the boss was actually hard though once you got to it. He was like one of the easier ones I thought in the game. But the fish
Yeah.
down at the Bone Beach or whatever, that was atrocious. That's the game has a verticality problem too. I think anything that's in the air, I think, sucks to fight. And when you have a really heavy hitting boss who's in the air or like moves things around, like the eyeball moving, whatever, I did not like that. Anyway, back to September. I liked the boss there a lot. The theme
Yeah.
of it, like chasing you through the world, and I like the colors. I did not like the leaf piles that were indestructible except for fire. That felt not cool, but other than that, I like that level. It's fine. I just
Yeah.
couldn't tell you what
That
the
one.
songs are.
Ah, man. They I've like had them stuck in my head for the past like couple weeks. I've been listening to that soundtrack a lot just when I work or whatever.
I was so I was I have it loaded on my Switch too, and I think because I haven't played through it in quite some time, but I want to try and play through Shovel Knight again here soon, and it won't take very long. Shovel Knight's a pretty quick game once you know it, and I think it'll be like riding a bike for me. I played that game a lot way back in the day. I played it on 3DS, Wii U, Vita. I platted it on the Vita. Dabbled on Xbox. I don't think I got to the What are those frogs? Why can I see them? What are the frogs Rare did? The toads or something? Oh,
Oh,
do you remember?
Battletoads?
Battletoads, the Battletoads
Yeah.
stuff on Xbox. I think I got to some of that in that version of the game. But anyway, I want to play it because when I think back to Shovel Knight, and this could just be because I played it so much, but like those themes, those come in my head. Like the the first level, like just the music just hits you out of the gate, and I just feel like it's just stuck so much better. But I am aware that that could just be the last 10+ years.
Yeah. So
Talking,
you want to hear something funny?
yes.
So when I was getting music for the Mina video,
Oh, I
at the
noticed.
time they only had like the press pack with like 6 songs or whatever, and I needed some more background music. So I was getting like Shovel Knight music, and I've only played Shovel Knight one time, but I was like revisiting the soundtrack, going through and like trying to pick songs to use in the video. And I think I had a moment with that soundtrack, like what you had with Mina, where I was like, "Yeah, this is good," but I don't really remember much about it.
See, that's so interesting, and I love that first of all, but I'm not like the best. I'm not musically trained in any way, and listeners of any stretch of time will know that I don't know a lot of popular music. I'm not very good at it, but I do listen to a lot of video game music. This is primarily that and jazz are the things that I listen to at home, and when those two come together, oh boy. Um, but yeah, I just like this, and I think part of it could be that I was so focused on everything else in the game that like the music just wasn't standing out and punching up. But it was a bummer. I mean, even when I went and listened to the soundtrack by itself, I was just like, this is Jake Kaufman, and this is very good chiptune music, but it wasn't standing out. And I have to say, like, I didn't think the snow level fit, and I feel like if you got a snow level in a game, the theme's got to hit.
Yeah,
Finjana Drifts represent. Like, you gotta have. I don't know. It just. I walked away more disappointed with Mina than I ever expected, and that really bums me out because I like Yacht Club and want them to keep obviously making games and want to keep playing what they put out. And I suspect they will definitely play Shovel Knight 3D, which is supposed to be their next game. But now it's like, well, there will be another Mina game, and I'm gonna look at that and go, well, I'm not gonna do that, and that's kind of a
yeah,
bummer because they're gonna be a one game at a time sort of studio, and that so like now I half of their output won't necessarily half their output will have a steeper hill to climb to get my interest, for a lack of a better way to put it.
yeah. I don't know if I think they'll like revisit Mina. Maybe like in the future, but I feel like they've done everything they possibly can with the mechanics of the game, and like that's why they've insisted they're not doing any kind of DLC for it. So it'd be hard to imagine them doing like a sequel unless they want to do like 3D Mina or something.
Well, I think Shovel Knight is their Mario, and I think Mina is their Zelda. And so
Yeah,
I think eventually there will be, like, for a lack of a better name, a Mina 2. But Shovel Knight 3D is next on the plate, and we'll see how long that takes them to make. I know development started at one point, but then they paused to do all hands on Mina. Now they're a one game at a time sort of studio going forward. So however long 3D takes to make, but I suspect, especially with how well it reviewed, how well it's already sold, over 500,000 copies so far as of this recording, uh, like Mina 2 will happen. And I'm curious what that will look like as, as their Zelda game. Like, what do they do? What's the adventure? But personally, it's just like, well, I guess what the gap for me will be Shovel Knight 3D to whatever they do after that. It's going to be harder to sell me on Mina 2. But I
yeah,
think, and for the good of Yacht Club, that won't be a very hard sell for everyone else who enjoyed the game, 6 years down the line, 6, 7 years down the line from now, when Mina 2 comes out, whatever that is.
I sure hope we see it.
Oh, I believe you. I believe you will. I think. I don't know if we're gonna have that era of like all these indie cameos that we used to get all the time. Shovel Knight Notorious was in everything, worked out very well for them. But I don't think like you're gonna start seeing Mina in a bunch of different games. And I don't think you'll see a bunch of spin-offs either, like they did with Shovel Knight Dig and the puzzle game they did. Gosh, what was the puzzle game? I think I reviewed that, for Pete's sake. I can't remember it. What was it?
I can't remember.
Pocket Dungeon. Pocket Dungeon was their puzzle game. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a bunch of that for Mina. I think that honestly distracted Yacht Club a little bit. Not that they developed those two games, they were overseeing them, but still. Anyway, I think that does it. Kohana, thank you so much for joining me on the show. I had a really great time talking with you. If folks would like to find you online, they can find you over on YouTube at Kohana64. I like the N64 representation. That's all it can mean.
Thank you.
So go check out his videos. Watch the complete 3D Mario retrospective because it has the 3D land footage in it. Very, very nice. I assume you emulated that, probably. I assume
I did. Yes.
Yeah. Sneaky. I just got my 3DS modded for video out, and so I'm like itching to use it. I might be helping our friend Wizawet with some 3DS capture here soon, which will be exciting. You've got your next video, according to the YouTube post, is going to be a Persona 3 video. So everyone keep your eyes peeled for Persona 3 over on Kohana's channel. Go support him. Check it out. Hit that subscribe button. Ring the bell. All the things you're supposed to do.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Well, yes, you are very, very welcome. Thank you so much. And if you'd like to see anything that we spoke about, you can check out the show notes in your podcast player of choice or go over to maxfrequency.net/MFP/53. You can check out Chapter Select, retrospective seasonal podcast where we bounce back and forth, exploring evolution, design, and legacy. We've done Metroid Prime. We've done Banjo-Kazooie, Resident Evil, so go check that sort of stuff out if you would like. And then good old maxfrequency.net for everything else. Thank you all so much for listening, and until next time, adios.